current global community is rife with problems. We are experiencing uncertainty with COVID 19, and right now there is a fear with the new Omicron variant. We have supply chain issues, while there are concerns about shortages in grocery stores. Our problems seem never ending, yet we have to carry on in our personal, professional, and academic lives. How can we manage? Hello, my name is Danielle Dixon, and I am currently finishing up my Master's of Business Administration with a concentration in project management. Let me tell you how poetry can help. Whether you are a boss or a new hire, you need to effectively communicate with colleagues, customers, and the public. The way we communicate represents our own brand as well as the brand of the business. It conveys that we are professional and that we are trustworthy. Poetry uses concise language to convey a wide range of ideas. And we should know that we can learn skills from poetry that can translate into the business world. Now, professionals mistakenly think that reading fiction is useless and it's better to read nonfiction. We read how-to books on how to declutter our home so it sparks joy. We read financial magazines on investing or serious newspapers like the Wall Street Journal to stay abreast of news. However, studies show that reading fiction over nonfiction is better at expanding your mind because of the parts of the brain that is accessed when we read. More importantly, and specific to poetry, an MRI study on the brain showed the differences between reading prose like a novel versus reading poems. Only poetry accesses both the left and right side of the brain when read. So it's worth your time to read poetry. You are literally expanding your mind. Now, many of us suffered through boring poems in school that weren't relevant to our lives or the way we speak. However, now as adults, we can seek out poems that we like. Reading is meant to be pleasurable, and it's something that can help us through this pandemic. Neurobiology and psychology show how effective writing lights up the part of our brain that makes us feel pleasure. Reading should be pleasurable, and that can inspire us to write better so our own business communication is pleasurable to others. Scientists used to think that humans only felt pleasure from physical sensory cues, such as tasty food or the feeling of a fluffy blanket. However, now because of science, we know that reading prose and poetry gives you that same effect. When we read poetry, we exercise our minds because the various structures of the poem forces us to think and analyze. There are so many different types of poetry. We don't have to read sonnets by Shakespeare written in the 16th century. There are poems such as spoken word poetry or slam poetry that highlight problems and solutions that is relevant to what we face today. There are haikus, which are only 17 syllables, 3 sentences, but pack a dramatic punch that can inspire us. Poems break down complex topics in a digestible format that stir us, which is ultimately what we want to do in our business communication. We want to stir others. My call to action is let poetry help you during this pandemic. It can be a source of pleasure and also your competitive advantage in the workplace. Read and reflect on poetry you like, and you will reap rewards in your personal and professional life. Thank you.